What's going on, guys? Trade to Bless here. I have been asked over and over again to make some videos about trading and how I do it and how, what I look for and all that. So I'm going to make a simple video with talking about bias, how to pick a bias. This is my profits from today. These are the live accounts, the trendy accounts that I currently have. All these are funded, right? So there are prop trading firm accounts. This one is an evaluation. I traded that the most, but you can see everything was green today. Not necessarily the goal. I mean, obviously you want to be green as often as possible, but you can't be tied to just winners and avoid losses because it's impossible to avoid losses. You're going to have some losses, but you're trying to stack the wins in your favor, and you start doing that by developing a bias of some sort. So let's go to the 4-hour. I don't really spend a whole lot of time on the daily chart. I'll kind of like look at it real quick in the morning, if it makes sense. But I am looking to look at the 4-hour and under. Mostly on the 1-hour chart is where I get my bias for the more immediate runs or direction, because I trade the 1-minute chart the majority of the time. And I'm in and out of trades, sometimes within seconds, sometimes in a couple of minutes. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to look at, daily and weekly charts for my 1-minute trade. So I just look at it just to kind of get a sense of what the heck I'm looking at and what the market might be doing. So this morning before the open, we have the 8 o'clock bar there. This one closed at, I think it closed at 10 or maybe noon. It closed at, yeah, so noon, the new bar began. So this is what we had this morning. Again, we have this move up, we have a retracement. We kind of have like a balanced view. We have this imbalance here, right? We have this imbalance in here. They got completely violated there. And then we had this move up, and the entire move up kind of got engulfed, if you will, because this big move up on this green candle on that day was more than 50% closed, and then eventually violated completely. So kind of a neutral look at the 4-hour. If you're looking at longer term, obviously we have an uptrend going on if you look at the daily and whatnot. But in the 4 hours, in the 1 hour, we kind of have these moves up and a retracement, 50% of that, but we haven't made a new high. Retracement of that about 50%. And then we try to make a new high just above this and are like possibly failing again. Again, this is the 4-hour time frame, not a daily or weekly. And so I go, okay, do I really have a sense of where the 4-hour might go next? I don't. My guess would be that it probably takes out these lows, grab some more liquidity before I move up, because we do have, in fact, a long-term bullish market, but more sideways. If you look at this chart in a more shorter term. So then we go to the 1 hour and see if we can find something there. This is what it looked like before the open, right? And so again, we have this move up. Maybe 50% of the move would be this. It never violated that, and then made a new move up. And then made a new move up, and then 50% of that gets respected. Does not close a candle more than 50% below, and it makes a new move up. About 50% of that gets respected, comes back in, and it makes a new move up with much excitement. This is a really nice move up, clears a little bit of liquidity to the left, but immediately fails. Not only does it fail, I think this yesterday in the afternoon, if I remember this correctly. Not only that, yeah. Not only that, it closes below 50% of the move and then bear flags right in here and violates it completely after hours. So now we've got a little bit of an engulfing pattern of the up move, which tells me we potentially have a little bit more room lower as I get into this. So I have more of a bearish outlook on the day. We have this bit of an imbalance, fair value gap, whatever the heck you want to call it. We tap into it and we respect it each time. Respect it each time and respect it each time. We're not really closing it completely and closing a bar above that, which would be inversing that gap. And so I have a little bit of a bearish bias going into the day. Where could we go from there? Probably into this imbalance here that we tap into, respected, right? But we never closed or inversed it. So potentially with a little bit of a bearish bias, we can probably clear this, is what I'm thinking, before the beginning of the market open, and maybe target some of this, what shall we call it? Demand zone where we took off pretty excitedly from. So I would say somewhere in there, maybe we stop looking for shorts. So that's my bias before we start the day. Obviously, we can See that the market did go down there, but it's not just seeing what the market might go, but actually executing on the bias. So let me pull the 1 minute chart here. And so this is the beginning of the day. All right. I think the plots are already, yeah. So I already plotted the trade so you can see them. So the day starts right here. Right. The day starts here. That's the first bar of the day, the big excited bar of the day. And then from there we go south. Now, obviously I have no trades here in the first 2 minutes of the day. I want to make sure that I am, as much as I can on the right side. A lot of my trades are, pullbacks into some kind of imbalance. I'm looking for sweeps of liquidity, right? I want to be buying where most people would be stopping out, and I want to be selling when most people would be stopping out, because most people fail at the stock market, right? So I'm entering where most people are scared and losing money, and stop out of trades, and that's where I want to enter. So now that we've cleared, right, like we've cleared the VWAP, this is VWAP, the volume weighted average price, we've cleared it, we drop below it. Tons of people will start shorting here, but to me, that is shorting the bottom of a move. I want to be shorting a retracement into VWAP. So this is what I did. It retraces, tries one more time, right? Like, so it retraces, comes back down. I'm still not interested. It retraces one more time into VWAP. And now, like, as soon as it starts dropping, it doesn't clear it anymore. The first move could be a little bit of longer, right? Because there's so much volatility in the first, few minutes of the day. This first, retracement into VWAP could very well clear and go to the high of day. So I'm just watching price. I'm seeing it go up. It comes back down. This is where the bar opened. The bar went up into VWAP and started to immediately fail. That's my entry there, right? And that is my exit there. So within this, whatever this was, maybe 30 seconds. I don't know what that trade was, but, we went from, 53s and change to 33s and change. So 20-point move on one contract. That's going to be $400. So there you go. That is the first trade of the day. And then we're looking for other trades. Where else might we trade? So we've got the move down. We got some retracements up and a failure. Like all these topping candles, it's telling me that they're still selling pressure. So now that we've actually retraced, we're not necessarily shorting, after a long candle like that. So the worst case scenario for me would be that I see this excited move down and I start shorting the bottom here. That's not necessarily what I want to do unless I can see a retracement higher, right? That makes some sense. We're pulling back into maybe the bottom of these trapped buyers. They're excited to just get a stop for break even or something because they bought here, got violated, and then on a retracement up here, now we got some people that are trapped and want to get out. So after that retracement, I can then in the early part of the day take some sort of momentum trade because we've had a retracement. And so here's another drop candle and another retracement. And now we're pretty much excited to take a short. So could have taken this short here, right after this retracement. Did not take that. Another similar situation. We drop, we sweep this liquidity. We got some trapped buyers all up in here. So any retracement up here is going to give another opportunity for a drop. My entry was now here because we had this move up, completely engulfed, right? Like the body of the candle got engulfed. I'm entering here, stop above the candle. And you can see pretty much immediately worked for a bit of movement. And then we have whole number here, right? Now we're sweeping all the way down here. If you look to the left, there's going to be more areas. And again, we're trying to buy demand zone where people would be shorting. And we're trying to do the opposite on the long side, right? We don't want to be shorting the bottom of this long move, which is what people do, right? The breakout traders, they're like shorting the bottom of each one of these moves, right? I want to short after a retracement, right? Where buyers might be trapped. Okay, cool. They got violated. Candle gets engulfed. I can possibly short that if morning momentum makes sense, kind of like I did here, or a straight retracement. Like we get a retracement into a zone, short there, right? And then you can start writing those things down a little longer. So you can see the pink is telling you the selling side, the blue is telling you the buying side. And so pretty much every single one of them were winners. I would say some of these are pretty small winners. and you can, in retrospect with hindsight, you say, oh, you could have held this all day, right? So, why did you sell here and buy there? Why not sell there and buy that? Sure, if I had the crystal ball, of course, all the contracts in the world, I short the top and I buy the bottom, but that's not how it works. So all you can do is have a bias for where the market might go and then manage your risk. And if you're managing your risk properly, sometimes you get, a small win, a small loss, and sometimes you get, a fuller move. Again, I'm trying to make on each one of these accounts somewhere between $100 and $400 if they're funded accounts, because once we get over the threshold, then we start taking daily payouts, especially on some of the prop firms that allow that. And then on the evaluations, we can take on a little bit more risk by taking longer moves, hanging on to the stop loss where it was when you started, right? So without moving the stop loss, like this was one of them here, right? Like entered in there, stop loss over the top, and then I'm just waiting for this move, essentially a 2-to-1 risk type of thing. But on the other ones, I am trailing my stop as soon as, we get into some kind of profit that makes sense, because I'm trying to cover without much losses. Also, on a lot of these prop firm accounts, there is trailing drawdown. So as you get into profit, let's say you make $800 in profit, or that's unrealized, like the stock is running or whatever. This is NQ futures, by the way. So let's say it's running in your favor, and you let the entire $800 come back to break even. You're not showing a loss, but you are $800 upside down on your trailing drawdown. So now your trailing drawdown gets smaller. So that's why I'm taking many more base hits until I get over the threshold. Once I get over the threshold, I take the payouts, and I have a little bit more breathing room for some of this trailing stop loss. Because once you get over the buffer, a lot of these, for most prop firms, as far as I know, all the ones that I use for sure, once they get over the buffer, then the stop loss does not trail with you. So I can let some of these have some breathing room to take a little bit bigger moves. But anyway, you can see all of these trades. Now we pull back into VWAP, right? So we bought, by the way, the green and the red bar and the red line here is the 15-minute high, and this is a 15-minute low. So this is the range of the day, or the first 15-minute range of the day. Obviously, any pull into the 50% mark, we want to look for shorts. VWAP is going to give you a nice little area where the average price for the day is, and you can see how it interacts with VWAP, right? It gets in here, and you can again see buying and selling and buying. A nice little move down there. That's a full one there. And then we're getting the retracement, right? We have areas here that there's an imbalance where we took off really, really steeply without giving a lot of opportunity for people to buy. So on our retracement into these areas, we want to make sure we're out of the majority of the move and look to reverse it back to a mean. And again, you see the same thing happening here, right? Bought, sold, bought, that kind of thing. So we did that until about, what was the last trade? 11:15 or something. This is 11:17. It might be my last trade of the day there. But you can see over and over again, we get reversions to the mean. We have what people would consider fair value gaps or whatever. These are just like areas where the market just mostly moved in one direction without a lot of opportunity for people to participate. And so on our retracement, people will want to participate and get what they want or get what they need out of that move. That's the way I look at it. Again, in general, at the beginning of the day, the momentum at the beginning of the day, for me, I was looking for short trades and took some nice ones until we got into an area that makes sense for a reversion, and the volatility starts to, decrease a little bit. And so we don't have those large moves that can, rip your stop loss as often without giving you a move in the direction that you're looking for. So those are the trades for the day. Again, is it a lot of profits? I don't know. It's enough profits for me for today, and then tomorrow we'll just do that again, and we do that again, and we do that again. You mitigate the losses by taking smaller ones, and you allow for green days to build on green days. And once you get to the buffer, you start pulling some of that cash so that you can fund more accounts and win at the game. And then the idea is that you're making enough where you can be more generous Oh, I guess I did take one later. You can be more generous with the income that you're able to create for yourself. So I hope you find this helpful. Leave questions on the video if you'd like to see more stuff. I'll probably be making more videos just talking about my thought process on why I took some trades and, what I'm looking for in my trades. And hopefully that helps some people. And have a great day.